I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
Oh, it's been pinched! It has been pinched and it's the Rocket, isn't it? It's Jensen!
It's scored! Hudson Huddersfield will surely be going to Wembley!
It's going to go all the way!
It's going in for the Giants!
He's deceptively quick for a half-back. Is he going to go all the way?
They've got the numbers out wide here of Huddersfield. They have got the man out wide. It's McGilvray for the corner, and McGilvray is in.
Welcome to episode 7 of Talking with Giants, the Huddersfield Giants fan podcast. In a period which has seen the Giants decimated by COVID-19 and subsequent track and trace protocols, we too have faced a non-COVID related selection crisis on the panel. We're without regular host Matthew Shaw and panellist Nathaniel Wood, so aiming to steer the ship in the right direction is myself, Josh Phillips, and the ever-present Jake Rowlands. How are you, Jake?
I'm good, Josh. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you, mate. So this week's episode is going to be a little bit different to usual. It's going to be more of a preview show as we look ahead to the Salford game and try and figure out who will take to the field for us on Friday night. We'll also discuss the Wigan postponement and we'll cover the abundance of transfer rumours both in and out of the club. But first of all, we'll start with the disappointment of last week's game. The news that the Wigan game would be postponed due to a COVID outbreak within the squad. And you have to feel for everyone concerned with the club, really, from the fans who were so looking forward to the game and the staff who worked hard to get the game in a position where the stadium was ready to welcome us back. Jake, how gutted were you when you found out that the game was off?
Yeah, it was really gutted, to be fair, because it was first home game. We'd arranged a bit of a beer beforehand, some fellow fans, yourself. Really looking forward to it, and then you get later on in your week, it sort of ruins your plans for the weekend, really. I think Wigan were there for the taking as well. Hardacre were out suspended, which we're not going to benefit from that now. Bevan French was out, and I got the feeling Wigan were there for the taking in that game. So I was a bit really disappointed, to be fair. And then it puts us straight back into a bit of a rubber match with Salford, really. A bit of animosity. And it could be a bit like that Wakefield game. It could be a bit of a banana skin. They'll be really up for it. The fact that Seb and Ollie Roberts are both in their squad, which I didn't think they would be, given they're both on loan. I presumed that they both wouldn't be able to play, but so I'm quite shocked to see their names in the lineup. I just got a feeling, Marshall will have them. They've been in a poor run of form, and they'll be looking at this game to sort of kickstart their season again. So yeah, we need to be playing well and not turning up like we did against Wakefield.
Yeah, just going back to the Wigan, from a purely selfish point of view, I was gutted because, like you said, we'd arranged a little meet-up, and because I live away, I can't get to the Salford game next week, so it's going to be an even longer wait, probably till July sometime until I can get back in the ground. But I'm sure it'll be worth it in the end, and worse things happen. But it's just one of those things. I suppose we're used to things being called off nowadays, aren't we? So
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, good news is they've all tests have come back this morning, clear. So tomorrow's game does go ahead. There's no wait now, I believe. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, and it's good that the majority of fans will be able to get to that game on Friday night. So not too long to wait for them.
If they are and they're not boycotting to watch the football, I'm expecting quite a low crowd tomorrow, to be fair.
Yeah, that's a strange one schedule-wise. I suppose obviously unrelated sport, but like you said, I think a lot of people will be watching the England-Scotland perhaps. So we'll take a look now. We'll go to some of the rumours. The rumour mill's been in full circulation the last couple of weeks, linking players both in and out of the club. We'll start with the players linked with the move in. Theo Farge and Tuilula here we've discussed on previous podcasts, but it's looking ever increasingly likely that those two will be our starting halves next season.
Yep.
But a new one is Sebastian Ikahifo, making his return, or rather really extending his contract despite being out on loan for the last 2 years. What do you make of that one, Jake?
To be honest with you, if it's a like-for-like swap with Gavi, I'd take it because, we've seen what Seb can do when he's on form and when he's fit. He was quite destructive in that first season with us. Gavi, I think, has been absolutely poor, really poor. He has odd flashes of like 5 minutes where he looks okay, and the rest of the time he just looks unfit, uninterested. So if it's like for like, I think it's fair enough. That will only improve us. I had a look at the Salford board to see what they thought about that. They were quite upset, some of the fans, because a lot of them like him, they rate him. So he must have been playing quite well for Salford. I've got told my hands up to say I've not seen a lot of him in a Salford shirt. I don't really watch many of their games. But I did watch the last game against, I can't remember who they played now last week. Can't remember. But anyway, it might have been Hull KR.
Yeah.
And it was. I was sort of watching him, and he was quite poor in that game. Made quite a lot of errors. So if that's the Seb we're going to be getting, then would we have been better having a look in the market and not bringing him back? I don't know, but if it's a Seb that Salford fans seem a bit disgruntled for leaving, I'd say we've made some good business there. It'll only add a bit of fire to the Salford game again next year, because I know some of the fans are up in arms saying, calling Watson every name under the sun. But end of the day, Seb is actually still a Huddersfield Giants player at the moment. He's only on loan at Salford. His contract does expire this year, so he'll be starting a new contract with us. It's quite interesting though.
Yeah, to mention the contract, because we're not going into numbers or anything, but I believe he was on a pretty good deal with us. So you'd have to wonder, do you reckon he's...
Oh, he can't be on the same deal.
Cut? No.
I mean, when he signed that deal before, he was in Super League Dream Team, wasn't he? He got in that year. You can't see him being on the same wage, or contract length, what he got then, because he's not been... I don't identify him now as a standout prop forward in league. He's a probably average Super League prop. So, I'd say he'd be taking a big pay cut coming down. I mean, as far as I'm aware, we've still been paying quite a chunk of his wage anyway. So,
yeah, when I first saw the news, I was initially a bit surprised, to be honest. But then the more I thought about it, it's a signing I'm quite open to be honest. We've seen the best of him, as you say. He got in the Super League Dream Team. I can't remember if was it 2017 or 2018?
2017, yeah.
17, yeah, that's right. And obviously did well for Ian Watson. And it's clear that Watson knows which players he wants. He wants the players that he trusts and he's worked well with before. And he certainly fits into that category. So I'll give him every chance on his return. I think it could be a good move. Time will tell. But but as you say, that he can have bad spells, but I think he does need a coach. He relies on a coach to get the best out of him. And I think let's hope that Watson can be that man again.
I mean, he does look fitter than when he left us. I'm saying when he left us to go to Salford at that point, he looks in better condition. So he seems to have changed his game slightly. Before he used to make a lot of tackle busts. He used to, but at that point, we never used to have anyone supporting him, did we? I remember him running downfield 50 yards and just waiting for a fullback or a winger to get on his shoulder to go in under posts, and we always used to fall short. Seems to be a bit more fitter, seems to have lost a bit of weight at Salford. So, with new rules, it can only benefit him, I suppose. So, I'll give him a chance, but I do still feel like we need to get another big prop in alongside him, because it's pretty certain, nailed on, that we'll be losing James Gavi at the end of the year.
Yeah, as you say, he can be a real destructive runner with the ball on his day. So certainly he adds a different dimension to us if the rumours are true, which they seem like they are. So interesting times in the prop department. As you say, I think we do need another one. But we'll move on now to players who've been linked with moves away. So we've had Donald McIntosh. He looks set to join Hull FC next season.
Yep.
Lee Gaskell also apparently agreed a deal elsewhere with an unnamed club, but I believe, rumours are it's Salford, but I'm not going to.
I've heard it was Salford, Castleford, or Wakefield were the three teams in the running that had offered him quite a good deal.
Yeah,
You can see him.
Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry, go on, Matt, go on, Jake.
sorry. Yeah, you can see him going to Castleford because I know they want Danny Richardson out, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
There's rumours that they might be losing Jake Truman, so it leaves them, 2 half-backs. So that seems the obvious fit to me, going to Castleford. But, Salford, again, Lawler Hayes on his way out, Brown's retiring. Thereafter, a couple of half-backs. Wakefield, yeah, I can't see him at Wakefield, to be honest. I think it'll be Castleford or Salford.
Yeah, to me, I could see him going well at Castleford. He's a very good player.
Yeah.
Apparently, the club wanted to keep him, but maybe was that as he got more money elsewhere. I guess that must be the case. Because if the rumours of Farge and Lola here coming next season are true, he's not got a guaranteed spot in that starting 17, has he? So it's probably a wise decision for him to move elsewhere for a better deal.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if you're getting the Lola here from this year at Salford, I'd prefer to keep Gaskell. If you're getting the Lola here from last year or the previous year, he played very well under Watson. But then you've got to look at it as well. He played alongside Jackson Hastings, didn't he, before? Will he play well at the side of Theo Farge? I don't know. You like to think so. We obviously wanted to keep Gaskell as a bit of a backup, or for full back and the halves. But then, where does that leave Jack Cogger? If we were looking at keeping Gaskell, that suggests to me that Cogger could be on his way out as well. I can't see Cogger wanting to stay to be a fourth choice halfback. Can you?
Not really, no. And he can't cover fullback either. Whereas I know Lola here can play fullback, can't he? So
yeah,
you'd expect Farge and Lola here will be the starting 6 and 7. But then I suppose with Gaskell leaving, maybe that changes things for Cogger because he'll be the first one to deputise if either of those two are out, or if the fullback's out and Lola here goes to fullback, then Cogger slips into the halves. But it just depends if he would be up for doing that, I suppose, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what was interesting if you read the list by Matt Shaw and Aaron Bauer on out of contract players, Josh Jones was off there. He's out of contract this year. Luke Telly's out of contract. He wasn't on there, and neither of the senior twins were on there. So that suggests to me that they've all signed new contracts with the club. Because if they haven't, you would have heard some rumours of them going elsewhere by now. Especially like Josh Jones would be a big signing for somebody. So I do feel like we've retained those 4. The rest on the out of contract list, Cudjoe. I saw somebody post on the Giants Facebook fan page, how they felt about each one. I think they described Cudjoe, it makes sense to let him go, but your heart says keep him because he's a Huddersfield lad. For me, if we want to free up cap space to improve the squad, I think it's the right time to let him go. Maybe put him into a coaching role or in the backroom staff somewhere. Because you've got Sam Wood who needs to be playing more often now. Rather than being fourth choice centre. He's at that age now where he's going to have to be third choice centre, isn't he, if he wants to improve and make a career as a Super League player.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Sam Wood is also on that out of contract list for us. So his future's he's not definitely going to be here next year either.
I have heard that Sam Wood will be signing a new contract. I don't know how true that is, but so I do expect him to be here next year, to be honest. He's been here a long time now, hasn't he?
Yeah, I wouldn't be against that. I think he's always done well when he comes in. But as you say, he's getting to the age now. He's not a kid anymore. He himself will want to be playing fairly regularly.
Yeah.
But if he is third choice centre, chances are he's going to play a decent amount of games. And I think he maybe already is third choice centre for us. I don't know what you think about that. I think. Yeah,
I mean, we seem to put him in as first choice backup winger, don't we? Which I don't particularly agree with that. I think he looks good when he's been at centre and he's done quite well in second row as well before. So, I'd stick to, for Sam, I think he needs to stick to one position, and see if he can develop in that position rather than being sort of a utility player. But at the same time, we have found, with the amount of injuries we've had in recent years, a utility player can be playing every week, can't they, in various positions. So
exactly,
so it depends what he wants to do really going forward, I suppose.
And although I agree with you that he's not a winger, and I don't like seeing him there, the fact that Watson wants to get him in the side somewhere ahead of recognised wingers, that suggests to me that he's a player that he likes and he wants to get in the team in some shape or form.
Yeah,
albeit out of position. But I think it bodes well for him that Watson trusts him to do a solid job out there. But speaking of wingers, as we touched on earlier, Daniel McIntosh, Hull FC. What do you make of that? And also combined with, as you say, it looks like the seniors will be staying. What do you think to our wing options for next season? What do you think of McIntosh leaving?
Yeah, a bit disappointing. He's a Huddersfield lad, but he did want to leave a couple of years ago. It took a lot for the club to persuade him to sign a new contract. So I think, a lot of fans, I think, did expect him to leave this time. That's the sense I got from speaking to people. Still disappointing nonetheless. He's a very good winger, not so great at fullback. I think he'll fit into Hull's team quite well, to be fair. But at the same time, he'll still be competing with Adam Swift, and I don't know who they have on the other side now. Is it
Fanoa, isn't it?
Yeah, Fanoa and So I mean, yes, it's still
Freimer's gone to Cass, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. So he's still got a bit of competition there, but I think he'll do really well. It does open the door up to Lewis and Innes. Do expect Lewis to come straight in on the left, unless we're recruiting that position, which I can't see us doing that because when you've got a centre like Lou Telly inside here, Lewis Senior should be ready to go now. He'll be 21 by next season. I think he should be ready to go and make that left wing spot his own. Innes will be looking at it. He'll move up the pecking order as well, won't he? So he'll become first choice winger. First choice reserve next year for the wing spots. He's got to be looking at it, thinking how many years has Jerry got left, and then I could make that right wing spot my own. Both can cover positions like centre and fullback. So I think it's a good move for me, and I won't replace McIntosh. I'd just put in Lewis straight in there, to be honest, rather than recruiting.
Yeah, it will. I think it'd be interesting to see the length of contracts given to the seniors. Yeah. I think that'll tell us a lot about what's been said in the negotiations, because Innes is playing until he got injured. He was playing regularly in Super League for Wakefield.
Yeah.
So he's at the stage. Well, they're both at obviously same age, both at the stage of their careers where they need to be playing more regularly. And I don't think they'd be happy just sat on the sidelines for the foreseeable. If we were to recruit another winger. So I think the chances are one of them will take that number 5 spot next season, vacated by McIntosh, and the other one will be backup. First choice backup on the wing.
I think the frustrating thing for the seniors was they came into the first team squad at a time when they were 17, when they wouldn't necessarily have played for 3 or 4 years due to masses of injuries at the squad in 2017-18. They found themselves playing quite regularly. And, it's got to that point now where they wouldn't even start to be introduced. If we haven't have injuries, they wouldn't have been introduced to the squad maybe till now, the odd game, and then they'd start developing. So, Lewis is probably thinking, I've played so many games, I need to be playing in that first team now, when in reality, they probably shouldn't have been at the age of 17, 18. You'll find that with that, that Gary from Castleford, who played last week. He was back in the squad this week, although I don't think he came on the field yesterday. He was in the 17. But, if he starts getting a few games this year, and then he might not get any next year, because of his age, and it's just about them not really getting too disheartened, but just, knuckle down in training. And hopefully Lewis has a chance this week to impress Ian Watson if he does play, because he's in the squad. And then to say to Ian Watson, look, I'm good enough to stake a claim for this number 5 shirt for next year. And hopefully it does.
As you say, it was one of the worst injury crises we've ever had. And we've had a few when the seniors came into the squad for the first time. But yeah, I think that makes it feel like they've been around forever, really. But you got to remember they're still very young players. And I definitely see a long-term future for them at the club. We'll just quickly move on to the rest of the players on that out-of-contract list produced by the RFL. So Aidan Caesar, I think we can all accept.
Yeah, he's going.
He's going, yeah. Leroy, that's a debatable one we've already touched on. James Gavey, I don't think will be here. Sam Wood, we think will be here. Ollie Ashall-Bott, we haven't seen enough of.
I can't see Ashall-Bott being here next year.
But the final one on that list is the interesting one for me. I personally am a big fan of his, but injuries, they really are decimating his career at the moment. Joe Wardle, what's your opinion?
I mean, it depends how he comes back from his injury. He's had a few injuries this season, hasn't he? One after another, quite a bad hamstring injury. It's like you say, he's out of contract, so hopefully they did say he'd be back for the Wigan game, so I'm fully expecting him to play this week. I think he's got to play really well, stake a claim for a shirt, and then say to Watson, look, you've got to move me out of this team from bad performances, and then put the likes of like Chris McQueen under pressure. He's got the opportunity to do that this week. If he starts playing well, I can see him getting another contract, maybe a short-term contract. I can't see him getting another free, 4-year deal. But then you've got to look at the flip side. You've got likes of Sam Hewitt, that's been playing extremely well for Halifax. All Halifax fans have been raving about him. He's been really their most consistent player. He's had some good performances. He gets a chance this week, I believe. Judging by who we've got in the squad, it's hard to see as bringing him back from his loan spell with Halifax not to be playing him this week. So he's got a chance as well. And, do the likes of Sam Hewitt next year overtake the likes of Joe Wardle in where they rank in the squad? Quite possibly.
Yeah, that's quite a possibility. It's good to see Sam Hewitt doing well. He's always done well for us, and he's really impressed at Halifax. So he'll definitely be part of the mix in the second row next year. On Joe Wardle, for me, as I say, I'm a fan of the way he plays. I think he brings a different dimension to our team in terms of his aggressive nature, his aggressive style of play, which I really like. Gets in the opposition's face. But I think for him to get a new contract, he's got to have a real sustained spell without injury for the rest of this season, and also obviously performing well. And if he can do that, I'd definitely give him a new contract. But you'd have to say with his injury record, it's questionable, isn't it? He's been unlucky this season, but he's still only 29. So I think if he can get a good injury-free run, he's still got a good few years left. So I think he's the only one of that list we still don't have a clue whether he's going to be staying or going, I'd say. But yeah, interesting.
Asholbot's a funny one because we signed him and he could have played a couple of times by now and hasn't really played. Will he want to stay at the Giants if he's just going to be getting loaned out? Because what's he, 23 now? He's going to be wanting to get a contract either at a top-end championship club where he's going to be the number one fullback, or he's going to want to be playing as a backup fullback in Super League. I can't see him being first choice fullback for any Super League team at the moment. No,
especially when you consider we've got Will Price coming through the ranks.
Yeah, exactly.
One I'm really excited about.
Yeah, so next year is a year older. It's hard to see Asholbot being here next year. I could see him ending up, at Lee or somewhere like that when they get relegated this year in Championship. But it's definitely a good Championship player, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's been a bit unlucky because he was brought in as cover for Ashton Golden at the start of the season, and then he got injured himself, so he didn't get that run in the side that maybe he thought he would. We'll move on now and take a look at the Salford game. So what are your expectations for this game, given the turbulent build-up and the lack of training? We've got actually a decent 21-man squad to pick from, but given that, as I said, lack of training and everything that's gone on, what are you expecting on Friday?
We need to win the game, simple as that, no matter how we do it. That's the main thing. There's a lot of players here that are coming into the squad that haven't played for the Giants this year. They're going to have a point to prove. You've got Ashton Golding. I mean, the fact that Caesar's now been added to the squad has thrown me out of what I thought the squad would be or how I'd go. If Caesar does play, I'd probably say, Ashton Golding will line up at fullback. You'd like to think. I'd have Gaskell and Caesar in the halves, and then you'd have Jack Cogger on the bench, as cover for the halves if Caesar isn't fully fit, having obviously had to self-isolate for 10 days. And then obviously Cogger can also do a spell he has previously over in Australia done a spell at hooker as well. So that seems a more logical move to me. Will Watson prefer Asholbot to Golding, given fitness levels? I mean, Golding's only played the last 2 weeks. But for me, I watched him for Bradford a couple of weeks ago, and he looks as fit. He looks as fit as he did before. So I'd put him straight back in now. He played a spell at hooker for Bradford in the first game back. So that's an option as well. Will Asholbot be on the bench and then come on to cover fullback while Golding does a spell at hooker? I don't know, but I think the rest of the team speaks for itself. Really, you got Jerry, Jake Wardle, Lutelli. Then it's, does Watson go with Cudjoe on the wing like he did at Wakefield? For me, hopefully not. Lewis Senior will come straight in there. And then obviously we've already spoke about the halves. You've got Luke Yates back, which is a big one. Adam O'Brien. Got Michael Lawrence, Kenny Edwards, Joe Wardle, Josh Jones, who they said would have played last week against Wigan. So fully expecting him to play tomorrow. Then we've got Joe Greenwood, Oliver Wilson, Owen Trout to come back in, Ronan Michael. Looking at that squad, it's more than good enough to beat Salford.
I'm not going to lie. The names you're reeling off there make me feel more confident about the game.
Yeah,
You've still a very good squad, is that?
Yeah, good enough to beat Salford. They've been really poor this season, but like I said, I think they'll be really up for this game and they'll come out firing in the first 20 minutes. So I think we just need to be switched on, be up for the game, get stuck in there, and I think we should outdo them in the second half. Really, fitness levels and that bit of extra quality like Aidan Caesar, Lutelli. Looking at Salford's squad. I'm looking through that now. No Callum Watkins, no Paulie, who we usually struggle with. They've got no Kevin Brown, got no Lola Hayer. He's missing. I don't know whether that's a tactical move because he's joining us next year. I don't know. If you go like for like 1 to 17, there aren't many players from Salford that I'd take to put in this giant squad even this week, to be honest. So we should be winning, shouldn't we?
I agree. I think the lack of training, because of that, I'm not expecting flow in rugby. I think it's a game we'll have to win through doing effort-based things, I'd say.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting us to put, however many points on them. I think it's going to be an arm wrestle sort of game. But I think if our effort matches theirs or supersedes theirs, I think we win by a couple of tries, hopefully.
Yeah.
But I think fullback is an interesting one because Gaskell's in the squad, isn't he? So he could go straight back in at fullback where he was playing well before.
Yeah, could do. But again, if that were the case, I don't know why we'd. It's a funny one because we've Ashall Bott back as well, ready to play. Why would we have brought Golding back from Bradford? If he's not going to play, that just seems just a bit of an odd one to me.
Or maybe we didn't know who was going to. I don't know. Maybe they want to get as many players who could take the field in as possible. Yeah,
given the fact he's played 2 games now, I think Golding's it's his time to get back in there. But really interesting. There's loads of different ways we could go with that. You could have Ashall Bott at the back. You could have Golding on bench to cover hooker. I don't think we'll let O'Brien do 80 minutes. We could go down that route where we have 4 forwards on the bench, but I just can't see that, to be honest. If he takes a knock, who then plays hooker? We've got,
I'll take you through my 17. So I'd have Golding fullback, McGillivray right wing, Jake Wardle and Lutelli in the centres, Lewis Senior on the left wing. In the halves, I would go with Gaskell and Caesar. Starting props, I would have Greenwood and Lawrence. I know Greenwood has came to us as a second row, but I prefer him as a prop. Adam O'Brien, hooker, Edwards and Josh Jones in the second row, and Luke Yates as loose forward. I prefer Yates as a loose rather than prop. Then on the bench, I would have Cogger to spell in at hooker with O'Brien. Joe Wardle, Owen Trout, and Oliver Wilson. So that's my 17.
Yep, I'd fully agree with that, to be honest. Might switch Jones, Lawrence, and Yates around. They seem to, 1 minute they're playing at second row, next minute they're playing at loose. So I don't know how Watson will go with that, but I definitely agree with that. The 17 that you've picked. Don't really want to see Leroy wing. I didn't like the look of that at Wakefield. Didn't do anything wrong, but we need a winger with a bit of pace. Somebody that can score tries on the wing. Leroy's an out and out centre for me. He's there to cover centre. I think it's the time now to give Lewis Senior a chance, like we said before. think Ashall Bott, if he don't get a chance this week, it's hard to see him getting a chance at the Giants again this year, to be honest. If players are coming back next week, so I'd be a bit disappointed if I were him. But yeah, really interesting. Look forward to seeing the squad news on a Friday before kick-off.
Yeah, it will be an interesting one. Just finally, let's hear our predictions. I'm sure they'll be way off, but Jake, you go first.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I think it'll either be a high-scoring game, where both teams. I mean, Salford's defence has been pretty poor. We're coming off with a few players out. We haven't been able to train. So I can see it being Giants 28, Salford 20.
I'll take that. I have no idea what to expect from this game. I don't think we'll score that many tries, but as you say, Salford's defence isn't the best. So I'm going to go for a mid-range scoring game. I'll go Salford 14, Giants 20. Giants 21. We'll kick a drop goal just to make sure of it. Yeah. So yeah, well, we'd take either of those predictions, wouldn't we? But,
I think the important thing is to build a bit of momentum going into that whole game next week, because if we want to make the playoffs, we've got some tough games coming up in the next few weeks. We're going to have to look to win a couple of those games as well. Hull have just picked up a couple of injuries, a couple of suspensions. So we need to be going into that game next week with a little bit of momentum rather than coming off the back of a defeat, really. So, it's a big game for our season. This, for me, it's if we win, it keeps us ticking over just behind the top 6. If we lose, it's really hard to see us fighting our way back, back up there, especially with likes of Castleford, OKR. They'll keep picking up the odd points here and there. So yeah, looking forward to it, and hopefully we get the 2 points.
Yeah, it may be harsh to say it in the circumstances, but I think it is a must-win game, despite what's gone on with the COVID and all that. I think you're right. If we are to have a chance of the playoffs this season, we've got to win this game. But it's not going to be easy. But I live in hope. I'll be watching on Friday night. One screen on the Giants game, one screen on the England game. But you're going to the game, aren't you?
Yeah. I've decided to I picked the Giants over the football, to be honest with you. But if it were a quarter final or a semi final, I might have fought again this week. But it's one of them, isn't it? Looking forward to it. First game back might be a bit strange, with COVID rules and regulations. But yeah, it's just good to get back to the stadium and do something on a Friday night rather than start watching it on your TV, I suppose.
Yeah. It will be great to see the Giants playing at home in front of our fans. And I hope everyone that goes enjoys it and has a great time. But that wraps up episode 7 of Talking with Giants. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening, and thanks as always for your kind feedback. It really is appreciated. Please subscribe on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts, and follow Fee-Fi Fo-Fum, the Giants fan page on Twitter and Facebook, to make sure you never miss an episode of Talking with Giants. We'll be back next week, hopefully, to discuss a Giants win. Come on, the boys.